The series name is What If Naruto Was in Smurf and Harem. So let's start the series. The ground shakes. Not the gentle tremor of distant thunder or the sleepy shrug of an old mountain settling in its bones. This is violence. Raw and sudden, like the earth itself has been struck by something far too large to comprehend. Leaves rain down from the canopy above, a green waterfall of panic. Birds scatter in every direction, blue jays, robins, sparrows, their wings beating frantic rhythms against the darkening sky. Squirrels abandon their acorns. Rabbits flee into burrows so deep even memory barely reaches them. And beneath it all, hidden in the roots of an ancient oak, a village no larger than a pumpkin holds its breath. Run! The voice is small, high-pitched, terrified. It belongs to a mushroom-capped figure no taller than a pinecone, his white beard whipping in the wind of something enormous passing overhead. He stumbles backward, blue hands reaching for the nearest shelter, a hollow log that suddenly feels like the flimsiest protection in the world. Papa! Papa! Smurfette's voice cuts through the chaos. She's clutching a basket of sarsaparilla leaves, her yellow hair tangled with twigs and panic. Around her, other Smurfs scatter like seeds from a burst pod, Clumsy tripping over his own feet, Hefty grabbing Brainy by the collar and dragging him toward the mushroom houses, Vanity dropping his mirror in the mud and not even stopping to pick it up. The sky is wrong. That's what Papa Smurf notices first, even as his legs carry him toward the village center. The sky has never been this color before, a bruised purple bleeding into orange, like someone took the sunset and twisted it into something painful, something unnatural. And then he sees it. A shape. Too large. Too fast. Too everything. It tears through the tree like paper, snapping centuries-old oaks as if they were toothpicks. A sound follows, not quite a scream, not quite a roar, more like the world itself groaning under a weight it was never meant to carry. Everyone inside! Papa Smurf's voice carries despite its size, honed by centuries of keeping his people alive. Now! The ground shakes again. Closer this time. Smurfette loses her footing, the basket flying from her hands. Leaves scatter into the air. She hits the dirt hard, her palms scraping against rough earth, and for a moment she simply lies there, frozen, watching, waiting for the end to come. A hand grabs her arm. Hefty. His face is pale beneath his blue skin, but his grip is steady. Move, he says. Not angry. Not scared. Just certain. She moves. Behind them, the shape crashes into the forest floor with a sound that registers somewhere between thunder and the death of something ancient. Dirt explodes upward in a wave, covering everything, mushroom caps, garden patches, the fountain where they sing on summer evenings, all buried under a layer of soil and splintered wood. Papa Smurf reaches the center of the village just in time to see it. The creature. The giant. He's young. That's the first thought that cuts through Papa Smurf's fear. Young, and bleeding, and crumpled against the earth like something thrown from a great height. His clothes are strange, bright orange and black, torn in a dozen places. His hair is the color of sunlight, wild and spiky, matted with blood and dirt. His eyes are closed. He's not moving. For a heartbeat, maybe two, no one moves either. The Smurfs huddle in their doorways, peeking out from behind shutters, their tiny hearts beating so fast they might burst. The giant lies still. The forest holds its breath. Then the giant's chest rises. It's not a small movement. Nothing about him is small. When he inhales, the air itself seems to shift, pulling toward him like a tide. A few Smurfs stumble forward before catching themselves. Leaves spiral down from the canopy above, drawn by the simple force of his lungs expanding. He's alive! Someone whispers. Brainy, probably. Always stating the obvious when everyone else is trying not to panic. What do we do? Smurfette's voice is barely audible. She's pressed against Hefty's side, her eyes fixed on the giant's face. Papa, what do we do? Papa Smurf doesn't answer immediately. He's studying the giant, the way his hands are curled into fists even in unconsciousness, the way his teeth are clenched against some pain that follows him even into sleep. This is not a peaceful sleeper. This is someone who has learned to rest with one eye open. There's a gash across his side that would split a Smurf in two. On him, it's a wound that would fell a bear. Blood seeps into the orange fabric, dark and slow. He's hurt, Papa Smurf says finally. Good. Vanity's voice cracks from somewhere behind a barrel. Maybe he'll leave. Maybe he'll crawl back to whatever nightmare world he came from in. Vanity. Papa Smurf's voice is quiet, but it cuts through the panic like a blade. We do not wish harm on the wounded. Not even on those who frighten us. He destroyed half the forest. Brainy steps forward, adjusting his glasses with trembling fingers. He nearly crushed the village. Papa, look at him. He's enormous. He could step on us and not even notice. He could also die. Papa Smurf turns to face his people, his beard brushing against his chest, his staff planted firmly in the soil. Right there. In front of us. Bleeding out while we hide in our homes. Silence. The kind of silence that settles over a village when every heart is asking the same question but no one wants to be the one to voice it. That's not who we are, Papa Smurf says softly. That's never who we were. Smurfette steps forward. Her hands are still scraped, her hair still tangled, but something in her face has shifted, settled into something steady. What do you need me to do? Papa Smurf meets her eyes, and for a moment, just a moment, he lets her see the fear he's been hiding. The weight of knowing that one wrong move could end them all. The terror of making a decision that might kill the people he's spent 6 centuries protecting. Then he nods. Healers, he says, turning back to the crowd. I need every Smurf with medical training. Gather supplies, sutures, bandages, the strong pain herbs. We don't know what works on whatever he is. Papa, this is insane, Brainy protests. We don't know anything about him. He could be working with Gargamel. He could be dying. Papa Smurf's voice hardens. And we are not the kind of people who let others die alone. Now move. They move. Smurfette is the first to reach the giant's side. It's different up close. From the village, he was a mountain. From here, he's something else entirely. Something with eyelashes longer than her arm, with breath that stirs her hair even when he's unconscious, with a face that looks younger the longer she studies it. There are scars on his cheeks. 3 lines on each side, faded but visible, like someone drew whiskers on him and the ink never washed away. What are you? She whispers. The giant doesn't answer. His brow furrows, though, like even in sleep he heard her. Like even now, he's trying to understand. She reaches out. Her hand is trembling, she realizes. Her whole body is trembling. But she presses her palm against the giant's cheek anyway, feeling the warmth of him, the steady pulse of life beneath his skin. He's so warm. Like sunshine made solid. We need to move him, Papa Smurf says from somewhere near the giant's shoulder. The bleeding won't stop if we leave him here. Move him? Hefty's voice is incredulous. Papa, have you seen him? He's bigger than the old oak. We couldn't move him with all the Smurfs in the village. We don't need to move him far. Papa Smurf is already directing a group of Smurfs with ropes and pulleys. Just onto that flat rock by the stream. If we can get him elevated, we can. The giant moves. Not the slow stirring of someone waking from sleep. This is something else, a full-body jerk, violent and sudden, like lightning striking through flesh. His eyes snap open. Blue. That's Smurfette's first thought. His eyes are blue. Not the pale blue of a winter sky or the deep blue of her own people's skin. This is something brighter. Something almost alive. Like looking into the heart of a flame. He's looking at her. She can't move. Can't breathe. Can't do anything except stare back at those impossible eyes and wait for whatever comes next. His mouth opens. His voice, when it comes, is the sound of gravel sliding down a mountainside, rough, broken, scraped raw by something she can't imagine. Where? He stops. Swallows. Tries again. Where am I? Smurfette opens her mouth. Closes it. Opens it again. You're. Her voice is too small. Too thin. She forces herself to speak louder, though her whole body screams at her to run. You're in the forest. Near our village. The giant blinks. Once. Twice. His eyes move, taking in the broken trees, the scattered leaves, the tiny figures huddled at the edges of his vision. Something shifts in his face. Something that looks like understanding. Like guilt. I crashed, he says slowly. Something went wrong with it. I was training, and then there was this light, and then. He stops, his eyes widening. I'm huge. It's not a question. Smurfette doesn't know how to answer it. She's still trying to process the fact that he's awake, that he's talking, that he hasn't crushed any of them yet when the giant's hand moves. She flinches. She can't help it. When something that large moves that close, instinct takes over. She stumbles backward, her heel catching on a root, and she's falling. The giant catches her. His fingers close around her so gently she almost doesn't feel them at first. Like being wrapped in warm leather. Like being held by something that knows exactly how fragile she is and is terrified of breaking her. Sorry, he breathes. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to, I wasn't trying to. He sets her down on a flat stone, his movements so careful, so deliberate, that she can feel the effort radiating off him. His hands are shaking. His whole body is shaking. It's okay, she hears herself say. It's okay. I'm okay. The giant's eyes close. His breath comes in ragged gasps, and she can see the wound in his side still bleeding, still seeping red through orange fabric. You're hurt, she says. I've been worse. You're bleeding. Yeah. His lips quirk into something that might be a smile if there was anything happy behind it. That happens. Around them, the Smurfs are emerging from their hiding places. Brainy is still pale, Vanity is still trembling, but something has shifted in the air. The giant isn't attacking. The giant is apologizing. The giant caught Smurfette when she fell, held her like she was made of glass, and set her down somewhere safe. He's dangerous. Of course he's dangerous. He's a force of nature made flesh, something that doesn't belong in their small, careful world. But he's also hurt. And he's trying. And there's something in his eyes, something hungry and lost and desperately lonely, that Smurfette recognizes even if she can't name it. What's your name? She asks. The giant looks at her. Really looks. And for a moment, just a moment, he seems almost shy. Naruto, he says. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. Smurfette nods slowly. She turns to Papa Smurf, who has been watching the whole exchange with the expression of someone calculating 1,000 different outcomes and finding most of them terrifying. We need to help him, she says. It's not a question. Papa Smurf looks at her. Looks at the giant, at Naruto, lying broken and bleeding in the wreckage of their forest. Looks at his people, huddled together, waiting for him to tell them what to do. Yes, he says finally. Yes, we do. The healing takes hours. It's made more difficult by the size difference, by the fact that none of the Smurfs' medical supplies are designed for anything larger than a badger. They improvise. Bark stripped from fallen trees becomes bandages. Moss soaked in healing potions becomes a poultice. A dozen Smurfs working together manage to stitch the wound closed with thread meant for sails and needles meant for leather. Naruto lies still through all of it. Not unconscious, his eyes are open, tracking the tiny figures moving across his body with an expression of dazed fascination, but not moving. Not even when the needle pierces his skin. You can talk, Smurfette says from somewhere near his ribs. If you want. It might help with the pain. Doesn't hurt, Naruto says. His voice is softer now, like he's learning to control it. I mean, it does. But not as much as some things. She pauses. Looks up at him, a long way up, from where she's standing. What kind of things? He doesn't answer for a long moment. His eyes drift to the sky, to the purple-orange bruise that's slowly fading back to normal blue. Being alone, he says finally. That hurts more. Smurfette doesn't know what to say to that. She's never been alone, not really. There's always been Papa Smurf, always been the others, always been a village full of voices and laughter and arguments about mushrooms. The idea of being without that, of being so isolated that a wound like the one carving across his side is the lesser pain. She picks up another length of thread. You're not alone now, she says. Naruto's eyes find her again. There's something in them, something young and old at the same time, something that's seen too much and still hopes anyway. Thanks, he says. That means a lot. By the time the sun sets, the wound is closed, the bleeding is stopped, and Naruto is sleeping on the flat rock by the stream. A dozen Smurfs stand guard around him, not that any of them could do anything if he woke up hostile. But he's not hostile. He's sleeping like someone who hasn't slept peacefully in a very long time. Papa Smurf watches him from the village entrance, his staff resting against his shoulder, his face unreadable. What do you think? Smurfette asks, coming to stand beside him. I think, Papa Smurf says slowly, that we have a very large problem. He's not a problem. He's a person. He's a person who could destroy our entire village by rolling over in his sleep. Papa Smurf's voice is gentle, but firm. He's a person who, by his own admission, came here through something he doesn't understand. He's a person who carries power in him that I can feel from here, power that makes the hair on my arms stand up. Smurfette follows his gaze to the sleeping giant. In the fading light, he looks almost peaceful, almost harmless. He caught me, she says quietly. When I fell. He caught me so gently I barely felt it. Papa Smurf is silent for a moment. I know, he says. That's why he's still alive. He turns away, his footsteps soft on the packed earth. Get some rest, Smurfette. Tomorrow, we figure out what to do with a giant who doesn't know how to be small. She doesn't move. She stands at the edge of the village, watching Naruto sleep, watching the rise and fall of his chest that moves the air around him, watching the way his fingers twitch like he's fighting something even in dreams. She thinks about what he said. Being alone. That hurts more. She thinks about the way he looked at her when she told him he wasn't alone. Like she'd given him something precious. Something he'd been searching for his whole life. We'll figure it out, she whispers, to herself or to him, she's not sure. We'll figure out how to help you get home. The giant doesn't stir. But somewhere in the darkness, a night bird begins to sing. And Smurfette allows herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, this strange, impossible creature might be exactly what they've all been waiting for. Even if they didn't know they were waiting at all. Morning comes slowly to the forest. The light filters down through the canopy in golden streams, touching the tops of mushroom houses, glittering on the stream that winds through the village, illuminating the impossible shape still lying on the flat rock by the water. Naruto hasn't moved. His chest rises and falls with the rhythm of deep, exhausted sleep, and the Smurfs move around him like ants around a sleeping bear, carefully, quietly, with frequent glances to make sure he's still unconscious. He's been asleep for 12 hours, Brainy announces, consulting a pocket watch that's been in his family for generations. That's not normal. Even for a giant. He was badly hurt, Smurfette says. She's been sitting on a toadstool near the edge of the village, watching Naruto's sleeping form. She hasn't slept much herself. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw his face, the way his voice broke when he talked about being alone. He needs rest. He needs to leave. Vanity is polishing a mirror that miraculously survived yesterday's chaos. Preferably before he wakes up and decides we'd make a nice breakfast. He's not going to eat us. Hefty's voice is gruff, but there's something thoughtful in his expression. Did you see how careful he was with Smurfette? That's not how a monster acts. We don't know what he is. Papa Smurf's voice cuts through the debate. He's standing at the village entrance, his staff planted in the earth, his eyes fixed on the giant's face. We don't know where he came from or what he wants. But we know he saved one of us without being asked. That counts for something. A murmur runs through the gathered Smurfs. Not agreement, exactly, but not disagreement either. They're waiting. Watching. Trying to figure out what comes next. What comes next is Naruto waking up. It's not a gentle transition. One moment he's lying still, breathing evenly, and the next he's sitting up so fast that the air displacement sends a dozen Smurfs stumbling backward. His eyes are open, scanning, searching, and there's something in his posture that speaks of a lifetime of waking up ready to fight. Where? He stops. Blinks. Looks down at his hands, then at the tiny figure scattering in front of him. Right, he says, and his voice is softer now, controlled. Right. I remember. He takes a breath. Lets it out slowly. And then, very deliberately, he lowers himself back down until he's sitting on the rock, his hands resting on his knees, his posture as non-threatening as someone his size can manage. Sorry, he says. Didn't mean to scare anyone. Sometimes I forget where I am when I wake up. Papa Smurf steps forward. Not running, not hiding, just walking calmly toward the giant with the measured steps of someone who has faced worse things than a confused young man with the power to crush him. It's all right, he says. Given the circumstances, a moment of confusion is understandable. Naruto's eyes find him. Focus. Something flickers across his face, surprise, maybe, or recognition. You're the leader, right? He tilts his head, studying Papa Smurf's hat, his beard, his staff. You look like a leader. I'm Papa Smurf. And you're Naruto Uzumaki, unless I misheard. That's me. Naruto's smile is tentative, but genuine. Thanks for, patching me up. I know I'm not exactly easy to work on. It was a challenge, Papa Smurf admits. But my people are resourceful. And you were cooperative. I try. Naruto looks down at the bandages wrapped around his side. They're absurdly small from his perspective, like strips of paper stuck to his skin. But he can feel the herbs underneath, the careful work that went into them. This is really good. The stitching. Did you do this? Smurfette led the effort. She has steady hands. Naruto's eyes search the crowd until they find her. She's standing near the front, half hidden behind Hefty's shoulder, but she meets his gaze when it lands on her. Thank you, he says, and there's something in his voice that makes her chest tighten. Thank you for not leaving me. She steps out from behind Hefty. Her legs are shaking, but she doesn't let that stop her. You're welcome, she says. Do you know how you got here? Naruto's face clouds. He looks away, staring at the stream running past his feet, a stream that, from his perspective, is barely a trickle. I was training, he says slowly. Working on some new techniques. There was a seal, a kind of magic, I guess? A kind of magic that controls space. Something went wrong. There was a flash of light, and then I was falling. He looks back at them, and there's something almost apologetic in his expression. I didn't mean to crash into your forest. I didn't mean to scare you. I don't know how to get back. The Smurfs exchange glances. A world where giants can travel through space. A world where something as simple as training can tear holes in reality. It's terrifying. It's impossible. It's fascinating. Brainy breathes, pushing his way to the front. A space-time manipulation technique? What kind of seal? How does it function? Do you have any residual energy signatures we could analyze? If we could understand the mechanism, perhaps we could reverse the... Brainy. Papa Smurf's voice is patient but firm. Perhaps we should let our guest have some breakfast before we interrogate him about interdimensional travel. Oh. Brainy deflates slightly. Yes. Of course. Breakfast. That's probably important too. Naruto laughs. It's a surprisingly normal sound, warm and genuine, with none of the earth-shaking volume he's capable of. He's learning to control it, Smurfette realizes. He's trying to be small. Breakfast sounds great, Naruto says. I'm kind of starving, actually. This is where the problems start. The Smurfs' concept of breakfast is a communal meal served on tables made from hollowed-out mushrooms, with plates the size of acorn caps and cups that would fit inside a thimble. They've been eating this way for centuries, and it's never occurred to anyone that a meal designed for creatures 3 apples tall might not be sufficient for something the size of a house. Naruto stares at the tiny plate they bring him. It's piled high with berries and nuts and a slice of mushroom bread, and it would fit comfortably in the palm of his hand. That's very thoughtful, he says carefully. But, I don't think that's going to be enough. We have more, Chef Smurf says, bustling forward with another plate. We always prepare extra in case of guests. He adds the second plate to the first. Combined, they still wouldn't fill Naruto's palm. That's not... Naruto trails off, clearly trying to find a way to say this without sounding ungrateful. How much food do you have? In your village? Total? Papa Smurf's eyes narrow. Why do you ask? Because I think I'm going to need all of it. There's a beat of silence. Then... All of it? Brainy's voice cracks. That's weeks of supplies. Months of foraging. You can't. I know. Naruto's voice is patient, but there's something strained underneath it. I know it's a lot. I'm sorry. I can try to find my own food. There's probably animals in the forest or... You would hunt in our forest? Vanity's voice is horrified. With those hands? Those massive, crushing... Vanity. Papa Smurf's voice cuts through the panic. He's studying Naruto with an expression that's somewhere between concern and curiosity. How much do you normally eat? In your own world? Naruto shifts uncomfortably. A lot. I have a lot of energy inside me. It takes fuel to keep it going. Energy. Papa Smurf's eyes sharpen. You mentioned magic. A technique that controls space. This energy, is it something you're born with? Something you can manipulate? Naruto nods slowly. It's called chakra. Everyone in my world has it. Some more than others. He pauses, and something flickers in his expression, something that might be pride or might be exhaustion. I have a lot. Chakra. Papa Smurf repeats. He's stroking his beard, his mind clearly working through something. And this chakra, does it only exist in your world? Or is it something you brought with you? Naruto frowns. I don't know. I've never tried to use it anywhere else. Try now, Papa Smurf says. Just a small amount. Something we can see. Naruto hesitates. He looks around at the tiny village, the fragile mushroom houses, the stream that would be ankle-deep to him if he stood up. He thinks about the tree he crushed when he landed, the ground he shook with every step. I don't want to hurt anyone, he says quietly. You won't. Papa Smurf's voice is steady. I trust you. It's a small thing, those 4 words. But Smurfette sees the way they land, the way Naruto's shoulders straighten, the way something in his face eases. Like he's been waiting for someone to say that. Maybe his whole life. Okay, Naruto says. He closes his eyes, and Smurfette feels something shift in the air. A pressure, almost. Like the moment before a storm breaks. Then his hand starts to glow. It's faint at first, just a soft orange light gathering in his palm. But it grows, pulsing like a heartbeat, and Smurfette can feel it now, a warmth that spreads through her chest, a tingling in her fingers, a sense of something vast and ancient and impossibly powerful contained in a space no bigger than a marble. The Smurfs gasp. Several of them stumble backward, their hands pressed to their chests like they've been struck. Even Papa Smurf's eyes widen, and it takes visible effort for him to keep his voice steady. "That's enough," he says. "You can stop." The light fades. The pressure lifts. Naruto opens his eyes, and there's something almost apologetic in them. "I told you I had a lot," he says. "That," Papa Smurf takes a breath. "That's not chakra." Naruto blinks. "What?" "That's not just energy. That's life. Pure, concentrated life force." Papa Smurf's voice is trembling slightly, and Smurfette realizes with a shock that she's never heard him sound like that before. "In all my centuries, I've never felt anything like it. It's not magic. It's not natural. It's something else entirely." "It's just chakra," Naruto says, but there's uncertainty in his voice now. "Everyone in my world has it. It's normal." "Nothing about you is normal here," Papa Smurf says. And then, softer. "And I'm not sure that's a bad thing." The breakfast issue gets solved eventually, though not in a way anyone expected. Naruto, it turns out, can make copies of himself. Dozens of them. Hundreds if he pushes it. And while his main body is too large to move through the forest without causing damage, his copies are just as capable as he is, and they're willing to hunt and forage for their own food. It takes some explanation before the Smurfs stop running in terror every time a new Naruto appears in a puff of smoke. The first time it happens, clumsy Smurf falls into the stream. The second time, Vanity drops his mirror for real. By the third time, they've mostly gotten used to it. "So they're not real?" Brainy asks, poking one of the copies with a stick. The copy raises an eyebrow but doesn't move. "They're just constructs?" "They're real enough," the copy says. "We can think. We can fight. We just disappear when we're done." "Fascinating," Brainy breathes. "Absolutely fascinating. The energy requirements alone would be..." "Brainy." Papa Smurf's voice is patient. "Let the young man work." The copies fan out into the forest, moving with a silence that seems impossible for something their size. Within an hour, they've returned with enough fish and game to feed Naruto for days. The Smurfs watch in amazement as he eats, his movements careful and controlled, making sure not to spill anything on the village. "You've done this before," Smurfette observes. She's sitting on a mushroom near his hand, close enough to talk without shouting. "Hunt it for yourself." "I grew up alone," Naruto says, and there's something in his voice that makes her stop asking questions. "You learned to take care of yourself?" The silence stretches between them. Naruto picks at the remains of his meal, his movements slower now, almost reluctant. "It's not," he starts, then stops. "It's not that I don't appreciate the help. I do. It's just..." "What?" He looks at her, and for a moment he looks young. Younger than she thought possible for someone his size. "I've been alone a lot," he says. "But I've also had people who took care of me. Who fed me. Who saved me when I was hurt." He gestures at the bandages on his side. "You did that. And I don't know how to pay you back." "You don't have to pay us back," Smurfette says. "That's not why we helped you." "I know." Naruto's smile is sad. "But I want to. I want to help. I don't know how. Everything I do is too big for this place. I'm too big." He's not talking about his size anymore. Smurfette understands that, even if she can't explain why. "You saved me," she says quietly. "When I fell, you caught me." Naruto blinks. "That's not, anyone would have done that." "No," Smurfette says. "They wouldn't have. Not when they were hurt. Not when they were scared. Not when they didn't know where they were." She meets his eyes, holds them. "You caught me. And you were gentle. That's not nothing." Something shifts in Naruto's expression. Something that might be hope, or might be something else entirely. "You really think so?" "I know so." He's quiet for a long moment. Then, slowly, carefully, he extends his hand toward her. Palm up. Fingers relaxed. An invitation. Smurfette looks at that massive hand, a hand that could crush her without noticing, that could level buildings, that could do immeasurable damage. a hand that's waiting for her to decide what happens next. She steps onto his palm. His skin is warm. Warmer than she expected. And he's trembling, just slightly, just enough for her to feel it, with the effort of holding still. Of not moving. Of being exactly where she needs him to be. See? She says softly. You know how to be gentle. Naruto doesn't answer. But his hand curls around her, not holding her captive, just holding her. Like she's something precious. Something worth protecting. For a long moment, neither of them moves. Then, from somewhere in the village, Brainy's voice cuts through the quiet. Has anyone seen my notes on giant biology? I left them on the table and now they're gone, and if someone ate them I swear. Naruto laughs. Smurfette laughs too, and the spell breaks, but not in a bad way. It's more like something new is starting. Something neither of them has words for yet. I should help them look, Smurfette says, but she doesn't move. Probably. Naruto agrees. But he doesn't move either. They stay like that for another minute. Just being. Just existing in the same space, the same moment, the same impossible situation that somehow doesn't feel impossible at all. When Smurfette finally steps off his hand, she feels colder. But she also feels something else, something that's been missing since yesterday, since the crash, since the moment she thought her world was ending. She feels safe. We'll figure it out, she says, looking back at him. How to get you home. How to help you be you, without being too big for anything. Naruto's smile is brighter now. Still sad around the edges, but brighter. Thanks, he says. That means a lot. Smurfette nods and walks back toward the village. But she stops at the edge, turning back one more time. Naruto? Yeah? Welcome to our world. Even if it's too small for you. We're glad you're here. She doesn't wait for an answer. But she hears him, even as she walks away, a soft sound, almost like a laugh, almost like a sob, that follows her all the way back to her mushroom house. She sleeps better that night. And so, for the first time in years, does the giant on the rock by the stream. They are not easy days. The Smurfs are a community built on routine. Every morning, they wake with the sun. Every morning, they tend their gardens, gather their supplies, repair the damage from the night before. Every morning, they check the traps at the edge of the forest to make sure Gargamel hasn't found them again. Naruto disrupts all of this. Not intentionally. Never intentionally. But a house-sized young man sleeping on a rock by the stream is hard to ignore, and the Smurfs' carefully balanced world has no room for something so large, so strange, so present. The first problem is the walking. Naruto needs to move. Smurfette learns this on the second day, when she finds him sitting on his rock with his fists clenched, his jaw tight, his whole body vibrating with energy that has nowhere to go. Are you okay? She asks, climbing onto a nearby mushroom to get closer to eye level. Fine, he says. Then, after a moment, no, not fine. What's wrong? He stares at his hands. They're shaking. I'm not supposed to be still, he says. In my world I'm always moving. Training, fighting, running. I never just sit. Not for this long. So move, Smurfette says. We have the whole forest. You can. I can't. His voice is tight. If I move, I break things. I've already destroyed half your forest. I can't, I won't. He cuts off, and Smurfette watches him fight with himself. Watches the effort it takes for him to stay still, to stay small, to stay safe. Show me, she says. He looks at her. What? Show me how you move. When you're not trying to be still. I want to understand. Naruto hesitates. But she can see the need in him, the desperate craving to stop pretending he's something he's not. Stand back, he says. She climbs down from the mushroom and retreats to the edge of the village. Around her, Smurfs are starting to notice. Brainy peeking out from behind a house, Hefty pausing in his morning exercises, Vanity setting down his mirror for once in his life. Naruto stands up. It's different, seeing him stand. From the rock, he was large. From the ground, he's a monument. He towers over the tallest trees, blocks out the sun, casts a shadow that swallows the entire village. Smurfette's heart hammers in her chest, and she has to force herself not to run. Then Naruto moves. It's not what she expected. She thought he would be clumsy, maybe, or slow. Something that big shouldn't be able to move quickly. Shouldn't be able to shift weight, turn, pivot with the grace of something half his size. But Naruto is not clumsy. Naruto is not slow. He moves like water. Like wind. Like something that was born to flow through the world without resistance. His feet find the ground with impossible precision, his arms cut through the air in patterns that seem random until she realizes they're not. They're forms, techniques, movements practiced 10,000 times until they became instinct. He's fast. Faster than anything she's ever seen. He spins, and the air around him whips into a small tornado that scatters leaves across the clearing. He drops low, and the ground beneath him compresses but doesn't break. He leaps, and for a moment he's suspended against the sky, golden and terrible and beautiful. When he lands, he's breathing hard. His face is flushed. But there's a smile on it, a real one, not the careful smile he's been wearing for 3 days. That's better. He breathes. That's so much better. Smurfette finds herself smiling too. That was amazing. Naruto's smile falters. I didn't break anything? She looks around. The clearing is disturbed, leaves scattered, grass flattened, a few small branches knocked loose from nearby trees. But nothing is destroyed. Nothing is crushed. You didn't break anything, she says. The tension drains from his shoulders. He sinks back onto his rock, his movements suddenly tired, like the brief exercise has exhausted him. Good, he says. That's good. He's not looking at her. He's looking at his hands again, and there's something in his expression that makes her chest ache. What's wrong? She asks. Nothing. He shakes his head. I miss it. My world. My friends. I miss training with them. Fighting with them. Even just sitting with them. He laughs, but there's no humor in it. There was this guy Sasuke. He was always so quiet. We'd sit on this bridge sometimes, just watching the water. Neither of us talking. He stops. It was nice. Smurfette climbs onto the rock beside him. It's a long climb, and by the time she reaches his knee, she's out of breath. But she settles there, her back against his leg, and tries to imagine what it would be like to lose everyone she loves. Tell me about them, she says. Your friends. Your world. Naruto looks down at her. You want to hear about them? I want to know you, she says simply. And you're part of them. He's quiet for a moment. Then, slowly, he begins to talk. He talks about a man named Irika, who was the first person to look at him and see someone worth saving. He talks about a woman named Sakura, who hit him harder than any opponent ever did. He talks about a perverted old man named Jiraiya, who taught him things he'd never tell the Smurfs in 100 years. He talks about Sasuke, the friend who became an enemy, the enemy who became something Naruto still doesn't have words for. The bond that stretches across worlds, across dimensions, across everything that's supposed to separate people. He's still out there, Naruto says, and his voice is soft. Somewhere. Looking for answers. Looking for himself. And I'm going to find him. When I get back. I'm going to bring him home. Smurfette listens to all of it. She listens to the hope in his voice and the pain underneath, to the way he talks about his world like it's a place that hurts him and heals him in equal measure. She listens, and she understands something about him that she's not sure anyone else has bothered to learn. He's not just powerful. He's not just large. He's someone who has spent his whole life reaching for things that were always just out of reach: friendship, respect, love, and never stopped trying. You'll find him, she says when he's finished. When you go back. You'll find him and you'll bring him home. Naruto looks at her. Really looks. How do you know? Because you're not someone who gives up. She meets his eyes and holds them. I've only known you for 3 days, and I already know that about you. His smile is different now. Not sad. Not careful. Just real. Thanks, he says. I needed to hear that. I know. They sit in silence for a while. The sun moves across the sky, and the Smurfs go about their business, and the world keeps turning. But Smurfette stays on Naruto's knee, and Naruto stays on his rock, and neither of them feels quite as alone as they did before. The trust grows slowly. It's not a dramatic thing. There's no single moment where everything changes, no grand gesture that convinces everyone. It's 1,000 small things, happening over days and nights, building something that none of them expected. It's Naruto asking Papa Smurf about the village's defenses and listening with genuine interest. It's him using his shadow clones to help with heavy lifting, moving boulders, clearing fallen trees, repairing the damage he caused when he arrived. It's him learning to walk with measured steps, to breathe with controlled gentleness, to exist in a world that wasn't built for him. It's the Smurfs learning to trust that he's trying. They start coming closer. Not all of them. Vanity still keeps his distance, and Brainy's curiosity is still tinged with fear, but enough. Clumsy Smurf trips near Naruto's foot one day, and Naruto catches him before he falls, setting him back on his feet with the same careful gentleness he used with Smurfette. Chef Smurf brings him samples of new recipes, watching with barely concealed excitement as Naruto tastes them and gives feedback. Hefty challenges him to arm wrestling matches that Naruto wins with the same finger he uses to scratch his nose. "You're not even trying," Hefty complains after the third loss. "I'm trying not to break your arm," Naruto points out. "That's a kind of trying." Hefty glares at him for a moment. Then he laughs, a loud, surprised sound that makes several Smurfs jump. "I like you, Giant," he says. "You're all right." Naruto grins. "Thanks. I like you too." The children are the ones who change everything. There are not many Smurf children, the village is old, and new Smurfs are rare, but the ones who exist have no sense of self-preservation. They've been kept away from Naruto for days, watched by nervous adults who don't want them getting too close to something that could crush them without meaning to. But children are curious. And Naruto, despite his size, is interesting. It starts with one Smurf, a little one with oversized glasses and a perpetual runny nose, creeping toward Naruto while he's sitting by the stream, his feet dangling in the water, his eyes closed against the afternoon sun. "Are you sleeping?" the child whispers. Naruto opens one eye. "Not anymore." The child doesn't run. He just stares, his mouth slightly open, his eyes wide behind his glasses. "You're really big," he says. "I know. Bigger than Papa Smurf." "Most people are." "Bigger than the old oak." Naruto considers this. "Probably. Yeah." The child takes a step closer. Then another. He's close enough to touch now, close enough to see the whisker marks on Naruto's cheeks, the scars that crisscross his hands, the impossible blue of his eyes. "Do you eat Smurfs?" the child asks. Naruto's eyebrows shoot up. "What? No! Why would I eat Smurfs?" "Gargamel tries to eat us." The child says this like it's the most normal thing in the world. "He says we taste good with eggs." Naruto's expression shifts. Something dark passes through his eyes, something that makes Smurfette, watching from the village entrance, shiver. "Who's Gargamel?" Naruto asks, and his voice is different now. Harder. "The bad wizard," the child says. "He wants to catch us. He wants to eat us. He's been trying for hundreds of years." "Hundreds of years," Naruto repeats. He looks at Papa Smurf, who has come to stand beside Smurfette. "He's been hunting you for hundreds of years?" Papa Smurf's face is grim. He's persistent. And he's grown more dangerous over time. His magic has evolved. "Why doesn't someone stop him?" Naruto's voice is rising. "Why doesn't someone?" "We've tried." Papa Smurf's voice is calm, but there's something underneath it. Something old and tired. "We've fought him. We've tricked him. We've run from him. But he always comes back. And every time he comes back, he's stronger." Naruto is silent for a long moment. His hands are curled into fists, and Smurfette can see the effort it takes for him to keep them at his sides. "Show me," he says finally. "Show me where he lives." Papa Smurf shakes his head. "That's not." "Show me." Naruto's voice is quiet, but there's something in it that makes everyone stop. Something that hasn't been there before. "If he's been hunting you for hundreds of years, if he wants to eat you, if he's been hurting your people, show me where he is." "What would you do?" Papa Smurf asks. "Crush him? Burn his house down? Kill him?" Naruto doesn't answer. But he doesn't look away either. "I've fought monsters before," he says finally. "Bigger than Gargamel. Worse than Gargamel. And I've learned that sometimes, the only way to protect people is to stop being gentle." Papa Smurf studies him for a long moment. Then he sighs. "It's not that simple," he says. "Gargamel is a wizard. He's spent centuries learning magic that none of us understand. And now," he pauses, "now he knows about you." Naruto's eyes narrow. "What do you mean?" "We've been monitoring the edges of the forest. The traps we set, the ones that alert us when Gargamel is near, they've been triggered. Not by him, but by something else. Something he's created." "What kind of something?" Papa Smurf's expression is troubled. "We don't know yet. But he knows there's something new in the forest. Something with power he doesn't understand." He looks up at Naruto. "He's been trying to capture Smurfs for centuries because they're the key to his alchemy. But you're something he's never seen before. You're something he might do anything to get." The weight of those words settles over the village. Smurfette watches Naruto's face, sees the understanding dawn, sees the fear that flickers behind his eyes before it's replaced by something else. Determination. Then we stop him, Naruto says. Before he hurts anyone else. How? Papa Smurf's voice is sharp. You don't know his magic. You don't know his traps. You don't know. I know how to protect people. Naruto's voice is steady. I've been doing it my whole life. And I know that waiting for someone else to solve the problem never works. He looks down at Papa Smurf, and there's something almost gentle in his expression. You've been running for hundreds of years. Maybe it's time to stop running. The silence stretches. The Smurfs watch their leader, waiting for him to decide. Papa Smurf looks at Naruto for a long time. Then he looks at his people, at the children who have never known a day without fear, at the elders who remember when Gargamel was just a nuisance instead of a threat, at the faces of everyone he's spent 6 centuries trying to keep safe. You might die, he says to Naruto. If you face him. If you're not careful. Naruto shrugs. I've died before. It wasn't that great. I don't recommend it. Something flickers across Papa Smurf's face. Surprise, maybe? Or recognition. I'll take you, he says finally. Not to fight. Not yet. But to see. To understand what we're dealing with. He holds up a hand when Naruto starts to protest. If you go in blind, you'll get yourself killed. And then we'll be alone again. Naruto's jaw works. But he nods. Tomorrow, Papa Smurf says. We'll go at dawn. And Naruto? He waits until the giant meets his eyes. Whatever you see tomorrow, whatever you find, you don't act without me. You don't move without me. Do you understand? Naruto holds his gaze for a long moment. Then, slowly, he nods. I understand. He doesn't look happy about it. But he understands. That night, Smurfette finds him by the stream. He's not sleeping. He hasn't slept much since he arrived, she's noticed. He's sitting with his knees drawn up to his chest, his forehead resting against them, his breathing slow and measured. You're thinking about him, she says. Gargamel. I'm thinking about what I'm going to do to him. Naruto's voice is muffled. If he hurts any of you. If he tries to take you. You don't have to protect us, Smurfette says softly. We've been surviving without you for a long time. Naruto lifts his head. In the moonlight, his face looks older. Weary. That's the problem, he says. You've been surviving. You shouldn't have to survive. You should get to live. Smurfette doesn't know what to say to that. She climbs onto the rock, making her way to his shoulder, settling there where she can see his face. You can't save everyone, she says quietly. No matter how powerful you are. I know. His voice is rough. But I can save someone. And I can try to save everyone else. He looks at her, and in the darkness his eyes are almost silver. That's what it means to be Hokage. Hokage? The leader of my village. The person who protects everyone. He smiles, and there's something almost wistful in it. It's what I've wanted since I was a kid. To be strong enough to protect the people I care about. And are you? Strong enough? He's quiet for a moment. Then he reaches up, carefully, slowly, and touches her hand with the tip of his finger. It's the lightest touch she's ever felt, like a butterfly landing on her skin. I'm trying, he says. Every day I'm trying. Smurfette wraps her fingers around his. Her whole hand fits around his fingertip, and she holds it like it's something precious. That's all anyone can do, she says. Try. They sit like that for a long time, in the moonlight by the stream. The village sleeps around them, and the forest breathes its slow, ancient breath, and for a moment, the world is still. Tomorrow, they will go to Gargamel's lair. Tomorrow, they will see what they're up against. But tonight there is this, a giant and a Smurf, holding hands across an impossible distance, finding something in each other that neither of them knew they were looking for. It's not much. But it's enough. For now, it's enough. Dawn comes cold and gray. A mist hangs over the forest, turning the familiar paths into something strange and unfamiliar. The Smurfs move quietly through it, their footsteps muffled, their voices hushed. They've done this before, approached Gargamel's lair with fear and desperation and the desperate hope that today, maybe, he won't find them. Today is different. Today, they have a giant. Naruto follows Papa Smurf through the forest, his steps measured, his breathing controlled. He's learned to move quietly over the past few days, not silently. Nothing his size can be silent, but quietly enough that the forest doesn't shake with every footfall. The Smurfs follow behind him, a small army of blue figures with determined faces and shaking hands. He's not far, Papa Smurf says, his voice barely a whisper. The traps have been getting closer. He's looking for something. Me, Naruto says. It's not a question. Probably. Papa Smurf's face is grim. Whatever he sensed when you arrived, it's drawn him out. He's been more active in the last 3 days than he's been in months. They move deeper into the forest. The trees here are older, twisted, their branches reaching for the sky like grasping hands. The undergrowth is thick with thorns and nettles, and more than one Smurf gets scratched pushing through. And then they see it. Gargamel's lair is not what Naruto expected. He pictured a tower, maybe, or a castle, something grand and terrible, fitting for a wizard who's terrorized an entire people for centuries. What he sees instead is a hovel. A crumbling stone hut with a thatched roof that's half collapsed, surrounded by a fence of bones and rusted iron. It's small. Smaller than his apartment back home. And yet, standing in front of it, Naruto feels something he hasn't felt in a long time. Fear. Not of the hut. Not of the wizard inside. But of what he senses beyond it, a wrongness in the air, a twisting of something that should be natural. Like someone took the world and bent it into a shape it was never meant to take. He's been experimenting, Papa Smurf says quietly. For years now. Trying to find new ways to catch us. New ways to use us. Use you, Naruto repeats. His voice is flat. Smurfs are valuable. Papa Smurf's voice is bitter. Our essence can transmute base metals into gold. Our blood can create alchemical compounds that would take years to synthesize otherwise. To a wizard like Gargamel, we're not people. We're ingredients. Naruto's hands curl into fists. He can feel the chakra building inside him, responding to his anger, wanting to be released. He forces it down. Forces himself to breathe. Show me, he says. Show me what he's been doing. Papa Smurf leads them around the perimeter of the hut, staying in the shadows of the trees. They find the traps first, small cages made of silver wire, coated with something that glows faintly in the gray light. Papa Smurf examines one, his face hardening. This is new, he says. He's using something else now. Something that's not magic. Naruto leans closer, squinting at the cage. There's a pattern on the wire, not carved, but etched, like something burned into the metal from the inside. That's a seal, he breathes. Papa Smurf looks at him sharply. What? A chakra seal. Naruto's heart is pounding now. It's crude, really crude, but it's a seal. It's designed to drain energy from whatever touches it. He looks at Papa Smurf, and for the first time, there's real fear in his eyes. He's been studying what I did when I arrived. He's been trying to replicate it. Replicate your chakra? He's trying to find a way to contain it. To use it. Naruto stares at the cage, and something cold settles in his chest. He knows about me. And he's been working on ways to catch me. The Smurfs are quiet. They've faced Gargamel before, hundreds of times, thousands of times. They've survived his traps, escaped his cages, outrun his cat. But this is different. This is something new. Something they don't understand. We should go, Hefty says, his voice tense. We've seen enough. We should. A twig snaps. Everyone freezes. Naruto's head snaps up, his eyes scanning the treeling. The mist is thicker here, swirling around the hut, obscuring the edges of the clearing. Something is moving in it. Something large. Get behind me, Naruto says, his voice low. The Smurfs don't argue. They scramble up his legs, finding purchase on his clothes, settling on his shoulders and in his hair. Smurfette ends up on his collarbone, her hands gripping his shirt, her heart hammering against her ribs. The mist parts. And Gargamel steps out. He's not what Naruto expected either. He'd imagined a grand wizard, maybe, with a flowing beard and robes covered in stars. What he sees instead is a man who looks like he hasn't slept in years, gaunt, hollow-cheeked, with eyes that burn with something that might be genius or might be madness. His robes are stained, his hair is wild, and there's something in his hands that makes Naruto's chakra scream. A bottle. Clear glass, filled with something that glows purple-black. The same color as the seal on the cage. The same wrongness Naruto felt when they arrived. I knew it, Gargamel breathes, and his voice is high and thin and hungry. I knew you were real. I felt you when you fell. The power. The energy. He takes a step forward. Naruto doesn't move. Do you know what you are? Gargamel asks, and there's wonder in his voice now. Wonder and greed and something else. Something darker. Do you know what kind of power you carry? I've been studying magic for 300 years, and I've never felt anything like you. You're not from this world. You're not from any world I know. I'm from a world where people protect each other, Naruto says. A world where wizards who hunt children don't last very long. Gargamel's eyes narrow. Children? You think those blue creatures are children? He laughs, and the sound is sharp and unpleasant. They're not children. They're not even people. They're ingredients. Walking, talking ingredients that have been evading me for far too long. He holds up the bottle, and the purple-black light pulses, casting strange shadows across his face. But you're something else entirely. With your power, with your chakra, I could. You could what? Naruto's voice is cold. Use me? Experiment on me? Turn me into something useful? Of course. Gargamel says it like it's obvious. What else would I do with something like you? You don't belong here. You don't belong anywhere. You're a freak, a monster, something that shouldn't exist. The only value you have is what I can make of you. The words hit Naruto like a physical blow. He's heard them before, in different voices, from different mouths, but always the same words. Freak. Monster. Something that shouldn't exist. He feels Smurfette's hand tighten on his shirt. He's wrong, she whispers, so quiet only he can hear. He's wrong about you. And something in Naruto's chest loosens. You want my power? He asks, and his voice is steady now. You want my chakra? He holds out his hand. The orange light gathers in his palm, brighter than it was before, brighter than the sun breaking through the mist. The air around him shimmers, and the Smurfs on his shoulders grip tighter, and Gargamel's eyes go wide. Come and get it. For a moment, Gargamel hesitates. He's a coward at heart. Naruto can see it in the way his hands shake, the way his eyes dart toward his hut, the way he takes a step back instead of forward. He's powerful, maybe, in ways Naruto doesn't understand. But he's not brave. And then something changes. Gargamel's fear twists into something else. Something calculating. He reaches into his robes and pulls out a handful of something dark, black powder that glitters even in the gray light. You think you're the first powerful creature I've faced? He hisses. You think size matters when you don't understand the forces you're dealing with? He throws the powder into the air, and Naruto's instincts scream. He moves without thinking, grabbing the Smurfs from his shoulders and tucking them against his chest, turning his back to the cloud of glittering darkness. He feels it hit him, not like a physical blow, but like something reaching into him, searching, pulling. His chakra surges in response, fighting back, pushing against the intrusion. But Gargamel's magic is different from anything he's faced before. It's not trying to hurt him, not trying to destroy him. It's trying to understand him, to map him, to find the places where he's weak. Interesting. Gargamel breathes, and there's a smile in his voice now. Very interesting. You have so much power, but you don't know how to use it here. You're afraid of breaking things. Afraid of hurting the little creatures. He laughs. You're not a weapon. You're a child playing at being a weapon. Naruto turns. The powder is settling, and he can feel it clinging to his skin, his clothes, his hair, a residue of wrongness that makes his chakra churn. I'm not afraid of you, he says. No, Gargamel agrees. But you should be. He pulls something else from his robes, a crystal, clear as water, with something trapped inside. Something that moves. Something that pulses with a light that makes Naruto's chest ache. You're not the only one who can bring things from other worlds, Gargamel says softly. I've been experimenting for years. Trying to find something that could match your power. Something that could adapt. He throws the crystal. Naruto catches it on instinct, and screams. The pain is unlike anything he's ever felt. It's not physical. It's deeper than that, older than that. It's the feeling of something reaching into his soul, into the place where Kurama sleeps, into the part of him that's never been fully human and never will be. And the crystal cracks. Light pours out, not light, something else, something that burns and freezes at the same time. A shape forms in front of him, taking shape from the light and the dark and the things between them. It's large, almost as large as he is, and it's wrong. All wrong. It has the shape of a Smurf. But it's not a Smurf. Its skin is the color of bruises, its eyes are pits of darkness, and its mouth is stretched into a smile that doesn't belong on anything living. It's beautiful and terrible and wrong, and when it looks at Naruto, it sees something that makes it reach out with hands that are too long and too thin. Azrael! Gargamel shouts, and a cat, a huge, mangy thing with eyes that gleam in the mist, leaps from the shadows. Get the Smurfs! Get them all! The creature, the corrupted Smurf, reaches for Naruto, and Naruto moves. He's faster than he should be, stronger than he should be, but the creature matches him, moves with him, anticipates him. It's not just attacking him, it's learning him. Adapting. Becoming something that can fight him. Naruto! Smurfette's voice cuts through the chaos. She's on his chest, her hands gripping his shirt, her face pale with fear. Behind you! He spins. Gargamel's cat is there, its jaws open, reaching for the Smurfs scattered across his shoulders. He lashes out with his chakra, not a punch, not a kick, but a wave of pure energy that sends the cat tumbling backward into the undergrowth. But the creature is there. It slams into him with the force of something that shouldn't exist, and Naruto goes down. The ground shakes. Trees crack. The Smurfs scream, and Naruto curls around them, protecting them with his body, feeling the creature's claws rake across his back. Get them away! He gasps. Get them to safety! A dozen shadow clones appear around him, grabbing the Smurfs, carrying them away from the battle. The creature swipes at them, but the clones are fast, coordinated, trained for this kind of fight. They weave through the trees, disappearing into the mist, taking the Smurfs with them. All except one. Smurfette is still on his chest, her hands locked in his shirt, her eyes fixed on his face. I'm not leaving you, she says. You have to. I'm not leaving you. The creature lunges again, and Naruto rolls, taking the hit on his shoulder, feeling something crack. He kicks out, catching the creature in the chest, and it flies backward into Gargamel's hut. The walls collapse, sending dust and debris everywhere. But the creature gets up. Of course it gets up. You can't beat it. Gargamel calls from somewhere in the chaos. It's made from you. From your power. Every time you fight it, it learns. Every time you hit it, it adapts. Naruto looks at the creature, at the Smurf-shaped thing that's wearing a smile that isn't a smile, and understands. He can't fight it. Not here. Not with the Smurfs nearby. Not with Smurfette on his chest. So he runs. He turns and crashes through the forest, using his size to break through the undergrowth, to create distance between himself and the creature. He can hear it behind him, moving through the trees with a grace that shouldn't be possible, gaining on him even as he runs. Naruto! Smurfette's voice is almost lost in the wind. We have to go back. We have to help them. I know. His voice is tight. But I can't fight that thing with you here. I can't risk. The creature catches him. It slams into his back, and he goes down again, skidding across the forest floor, tearing up roots and rocks and centuries of fallen leaves. He lands hard, and Smurfette is thrown from his chest, tumbling across the ground, too small to see in the chaos. Smurfette! He scrambles after her, ignoring the creature, ignoring everything except finding her. She's lying at the base of a tree, barely visible in the shadows, and when he reaches her, she's not moving. No. No, no, no! He scoops her up, cradling her in his hands, and she's so small, so fragile, so easily broken. Her eyes are closed. Her chest isn't moving. Please, he whispers. Please wake up. Please be okay. The creature is there. He can feel it behind him, waiting. But he doesn't care. All he cares about is the tiny figure in his hands, the Smurf who stayed when she should have run, who believed in him when she should have been afraid. And then she coughs. It's a small sound, barely audible over the chaos of the forest. But it's the most beautiful sound Naruto has ever heard. Her eyes open, and she looks up at him, and there's fear in them, but there's something else too. I told you, she whispers. I'm not leaving you. Naruto laughs. It's a broken sound, half sob, half relief. He looks up at the creature, at the monster that's still waiting, and something in his expression makes it pause. You want to fight? He asks, and his voice is quiet now. You want to learn? Then learn this. He stands, still cradling Smurfette in his hands. His chakra flares, not the controlled burst he's been using, but something wilder, something older. The air around him shimmers, and the ground beneath his feet cracks, and the creature takes a step back. I'm not afraid of you, he says. I'm not afraid of Gargamel. I'm not afraid of anything that hurts people who can't fight back. He looks down at Smurfette, and his voice softens. But I am afraid of losing people. So I'm not going to let that happen. Not today. Not ever. He channels his chakra into his hands, wrapping Smurfette in a cocoon of warmth and light. She gasps, feeling it, not like the creature's touch, not like Gargamel's magic. This is different. This is warm. Safe. Hold on, he tells her. And then he moves. He's faster than the creature now. Stronger. Every time it tries to adapt, he's already changed. Every time it tries to learn, he's already moved on. He fights not with anger, not with hatred, but with something simpler. Protection. He's fighting for Smurfette. For Papa Smurf. For the children who asked if he ate Smurfs. For the people who patched him up when he was bleeding and alone. For the world that's too small for him but needs him anyway. The creature tries to adapt. Tries to become something that can match him. But it can't. Because it was made from his power, from his chakra, and his power has always been about one thing. Protecting the people he loves. He drives the creature back, step by step, hit by hit. It's weakening now, its form flickering, its light dimming. Gargamel's magic is strong, but it's not infinite. And Naruto's will is something that no amount of magic can match. With one final blow, he shatters the creature. It breaks apart into light and shadow, and for a moment, Naruto can see something underneath, something small and scared and lost, before it fades away. He stands in the center of the destruction, breathing hard, Smurfette still cradled against his chest. The forest is silent around him. The mist is clearing. Naruto? Smurfette's voice is small. Is it over? He looks down at her. In the gray light, she looks even smaller than before. But she's alive. She's safe. And that's all that matters. For now, he says. For now, it's over. He starts walking back toward the village, moving carefully through the broken trees and scattered debris. The Smurfs will be waiting. Papa Smurf will want to know what happened. There will be plans to make, defenses to build, a future to prepare for. But right now, in this moment, there is just this, a giant carrying a Smurf through a wounded forest, both of them alive, both of them together, both of them choosing to hope. Naruto? Smurfette says again. Yeah? You said you were afraid of losing people? Yeah. You didn't lose me. He smiles. It's a small smile, tired but real. No, he says. I didn't. They walk on, into the clearing forest, toward home. The village is in ruins. Not destroyed, the Smurfs have survived worse, rebuilt from worse, endured worse, but damaged. Mushroom caps have been torn from their stems. The fountain is cracked, its water seeping into the earth. The gardens are trampled, weeks of careful work crushed under the weight of something too large to be gentle. Naruto stands at the edge of the destruction, and he cannot move. He's been standing there for an hour. Maybe longer. The Smurfs move around him, repairing what they can, salvaging what they can't. They don't look at him. They don't speak to him. They just work, and Naruto watches, and the guilt settles into his bones like something that will never leave. It's not your fault. Smurfette's voice is soft. She's standing on a rock near his foot, looking up at him with eyes that are too knowing for someone who's only known him for a week. I should have been faster, he says. I should have. You should have what? There's no anger in her voice, but there's something sharper than anger. Let Gargamel take us? Let his creature destroy everything? You saved us, Naruto. I brought him to you. His voice cracks. I brought him right to your village. If I hadn't come here, if you hadn't come here, I would be dead. The words stop him cold. Smurfette climbs onto his foot, making her way up his leg, settling on his knee. She's done this before, but now it feels different. Now it feels like something she's choosing, not just something that's happening. When you fell, she says, when you crashed into our forest, I was standing right where you landed. If you hadn't been there, if you hadn't absorbed most of the impact, I would have been crushed. Naruto stares at her. What? You saved my life before you even knew I existed. She meets his eyes, holds them. So don't tell me you brought danger to us. Danger was already here. It's always been here. But you're the first thing that's made us feel like we could fight back. He wants to argue. He can feel the words building in his chest, all the reasons she's wrong, all the ways he's failed, all the things he should have done differently. But when he opens his mouth, what comes out is something else entirely. I don't know how to be small. Smurfette tilts her head. What do you mean? I've spent my whole life learning to be strong, to be fast, to be powerful enough to protect the people I care about. He looks at his hands, at the hands that caught her, that held her, that shattered a creature made from his own power. But here, strength isn't enough. Here, I need to be careful. Gentle. Small. He laughs, and there's nothing happy in it. I don't know how to be small. Smurfette is quiet for a long moment. When she speaks, her voice is careful. In our stories, she says, there's a lesson we teach our children. About the oak and the reed. Do you know it? Naruto shakes his head. There was a great oak tree, she says, tall and strong, with roots that went deep into the earth. And there was a reed growing beside the stream that bent with every breeze. The oak laughed at the reed. How weak you are, it said. I could stand against any storm. But when the storm came, the oak stood firm, and the wind snapped it in half. The reed bent and swayed, and when the storm passed, it was still there. She looks up at him, and there's something in her eyes that makes his chest ache. Strength isn't about being unbreakable, she says. It's about knowing when to bend. Naruto doesn't answer. He's thinking about the oak. About how he's spent his whole life trying to be that strong, that unbreakable, that certain. About how the world keeps showing him that there are other ways to be. I don't know how to bend, he says finally. Then learn. It's Papa Smurf. He's standing at the edge of the village, his staff in his hand, his face unreadable. He's been overseeing the repairs, organizing the Smurfs, making sure everyone has something to do. But now he's looking at Naruto with an expression that's somewhere between exhaustion and something else. Learn, he says again. That's what we do. We learn. We adapt. We survive. I'm trying, Naruto says. I've been trying since I got here. I know. Papa Smurf walks toward him, his steps slow but steady. And you've done better than anyone expected. But trying isn't enough anymore. Gargamel knows about you now. He knows what you are, what you can do. He'll be back. And next time, he won't come alone. Naruto's jaw tightens. Then let him come. I'll be ready. Will you? Papa Smurf stops at the base of the rock, looking up at him with eyes that have seen 6 centuries of danger. You can barely walk through our village without knocking over a mushroom house. You can't eat without consuming a week's worth of our supplies. Every time you fight, you destroy more than you protect. His voice isn't cruel, but it's honest. You're not ready. You're not even close. Naruto feels the words like physical blows. He wants to argue, wants to point out that he's been fighting his whole life, that he's faced things Gargamel couldn't imagine, that he's standing in the middle of a destroyed village, surrounded by tiny creatures who trusted him, and all he's done is make things worse. Teach me, he says, and his voice is barely a whisper. Teach me how to be small. Papa Smurf studies him for a long moment. Then, slowly, he nods. Tomorrow, he says. We start tomorrow. And Naruto? He waits until the giant meets his eyes. It's going to be hard. Harder than anything you've ever done. You're going to fail. A lot. But if you're willing to learn. He smiles, and there's something almost warm in it. Then we're willing to teach. The training begins at dawn. Naruto wakes to find Papa Smurf standing on his chest, a tiny figure against the orange fabric of his shirt, holding a stick that he uses to tap Naruto's chin. Up, Papa Smurf says. We have work to do. The work is not what Naruto expected. He thought they would practice combat, ways to fight without destroying, ways to use his strength without crushing. But Papa Smurf leads him away from the village, into a part of the forest that's still untouched, and points to a fallen log. Pick it up, he says. Naruto blinks. What? The log. Pick it up. Naruto reaches down, wraps his hands around the log, and lifts it. It's easy, the log is barely the size of his arm, maybe 100 pounds at most. He holds it up, waiting for further instructions. Put it down, Papa Smurf says. Naruto puts it down. Pick it up again. He does. Put it down. He does. Pick it up. What is this? Naruto's voice is frustrated. I could lift 100 of these. I could lift 1,000. This isn't about lifting. Papa Smurf's voice is calm. It's about control. You picked up that log the same way you pick up everything, with force. With power. But you didn't think about how you were holding it. You didn't think about what might be underneath it. You just grabbed and lifted. Naruto looks at the log. At the patch of ground where it was resting. At the small flowers that were crushed when he lifted it without looking. I didn't see them, he says. No. Papa Smurf's voice isn't accusing. It's just a fact. You didn't. They spend the morning with the log. Pick it up. Put it down. Pick it up. Put it down. Each time, Papa Smurf points out something Naruto missed. A beetle crawling across the bark. A mushroom growing underneath. A spider web stretched between 2 branches. Each time, Naruto learns to be slower, more careful, more aware of the world he's moving through. By midday, he can lift the log without disturbing anything underneath it. It takes him 5 times as long as it should, but he can do it. And when he sets it down, the flowers are still there. Good, Papa Smurf says. Now do it again. The afternoon is worse. Papa Smurf leads him to the stream, to the place where the water runs fast and shallow, and tells him to walk across it. It's ankle deep, Naruto says. For me. I could just step over it. Walk across it, Papa Smurf repeats. Without splashing. Naruto looks at the stream. At the tiny fish swimming in it. At the moss growing on the stones at the bottom. That's impossible, he says. No, Papa Smurf says. It's just hard. It takes him 3 hours. The first hour is spent trying to figure out how to even start. His feet are too large, his steps too heavy, the stream too small. Every time he tries to step in, his foot displaces so much water that it floods the banks, washing away plants and frightening the fish. You're thinking like a giant, Papa Smurf says from his perch on a nearby rock. Stop thinking about size. Think about water. About flow. About moving with the stream instead of against it. Naruto closes his eyes. He thinks about the stream, about the way water moves around obstacles, about the way it finds the path of least resistance. He thinks about the reed bending in the wind. He thinks about being small. He takes a breath, lets it out, and steps into the stream. His foot touches the water. For a moment, nothing happens. Then the water rises around his ankle, swirling, finding its way. He can feel it pushing against him, trying to move him, trying to find the path he's blocking. And instead of fighting it, he lets it move around him. He becomes part of the stream, not an obstacle to it. When he lifts his foot, the water settles gently back into place. The fish return. The moss is undisturbed. Good, Papa Smurf says. Now do it again. They work until the sun sets. By the time Naruto makes it back to the village, he's exhausted in a way he hasn't been since he was a child learning to climb trees with chakra. His muscles ache, his head throbs, and every part of him wants nothing more than to collapse on his rock and sleep for a week. But when he sees the Smurfs watching him, waiting, hoping, he forces himself to smile. I'm learning, he says. Slowly. But I'm learning. The days that follow are harder than anything he's ever done. He learns to walk without shaking the ground. He learns to breathe without disturbing the air. He learns to eat without consuming more than the village can provide. He learns to be still, to be quiet, to be present in a way he's never had to be before. And he learns about the Smurfs. He learns that Brainy's arrogance hides a desperate need to be useful. That Vanity's obsession with his appearance hides a fear of being forgotten. That Hefty's strength hides a tenderness he shows to no one. He learns that Papa Smurf has been protecting this village for 600 years, and that 600 years of watching people you love grow old and die is a weight that no amount of wisdom can lighten. He learns that Smurfette was created, made by Gargamel, meant to be a trap, a weapon, a tool. He learns that she chose to be something else. That she chose to be a Smurf. That every day, she chooses to be herself, even when she's not sure who that is. He made me to destroy them, she tells him one night, sitting on his shoulder, watching the stars. He thought I would turn them against each other. That I would be his way in. But you didn't, Naruto says. No. Her voice is soft. I didn't. Papa Smurf gave me something Gargamel never could. He gave me a choice. He let me be whoever I wanted to be. She looks at him, and in the starlight, her eyes are almost silver. That's what you need, Naruto. Not someone to tell you what to be. Someone to let you choose. He thinks about that for a long time. About all the people who've tried to make him something, a weapon, a monster, a hero, a savior. About the ones who let him choose. Iruka. Jiraiya. Kakashi. Sasuke. I want to be someone who protects, he says finally. That's all I've ever wanted. Then be that, Smurfette says. Not a weapon. Not a savior. Just someone who protects. He reaches up, slowly, carefully, and touches her hand with his finger. She wraps her fingers around his, like she did that first night, and they sit together in the silence, watching the stars. Smurfette? He says after a while. When I get home, when I figure out how to get back, I'm not going to forget you. Any of you. She's quiet for a moment. When she speaks, her voice is steady. We're not going to forget you either. They don't say anything else. They don't need to. It happens on the 12th day. Naruto is practicing his control in the forest, moving through the trees with a gentleness that would have seemed impossible a week ago. His feet find the soft places between the roots. His hands brush aside branches without breaking them. He's learning to be small, to be quiet, to be part of this world instead of a force that tears through it. And then he smells it. Smoke. And something else. Something that makes his chakra pulse with recognition and revulsion. He moves without thinking, crashing through the undergrowth, all his careful control forgotten. The trees blur past him, and he's running toward the village, toward the smell, toward the wrongness that's settling in his chest like a stone. He bursts into the clearing and stops. The village is intact. The Smurfs are there, gathered in the center, their faces turned towards something on the ground. Something small. Something that shouldn't be there. Naruto pushes through the crowd, carefully, he's learned to be careful, and sees what they're looking at. It's a Smurf. At least, it looks like a Smurf. The same size, the same shape, the same blue skin. But the blue is wrong, too dark, too deep, like someone took the color and twisted it into something it was never meant to be. And the eyes are wrong too. They're the color of bruises, and there's nothing in them that looks like recognition. What happened? Naruto's voice is barely a whisper. Papa Smurf steps forward. His face is pale, his hands shaking, but his voice is steady. He came from the forest, he says. Just walked out of the trees like he belonged here. We thought he was one of us. He's not, Brainy says, and his voice cracks. He's not one of us. Look at him. Look at his eyes. The creature, and it is a creature, Naruto can see that now, turns its head, tracking the voices. Its mouth opens, and something comes out that might be words, might be screams, might be something in between. Help, it says. Or tries to say. The word is wrong, twisted, stretched into a shape it was never meant to take. Help me. Smurfette steps forward. Her face is pale, but there's something in her expression that Naruto recognizes. Can we help him? She asks Papa Smurf. Can we fix him? Papa Smurf doesn't answer. He's looking at the creature with an expression that Naruto has seen before, on the faces of doctors who know there's nothing they can do. Papa, Smurfette says, and there's desperation in her voice now. Papa, he's one of us. He has to be one of us. He's asking for help. He's asking for something, Papa Smurf says quietly. But I don't think it's help. The creature moves. It's fast, faster than a Smurf should be, faster than anything that size should be. It lunges at Smurfette, its hands reaching, its mouth open, and Naruto moves without thinking. He scoops Smurfette up, cradling her against his chest, and the creature slams into his hand instead. It claws at his skin, scratching, biting, trying to reach her, and Naruto can feel it, the wrongness of it, the corruption that's eating away at whatever this thing used to be. Naruto! Smurfette's voice is muffled against his shirt. Don't hurt him. He's confused. He doesn't know what he's doing. I know. Naruto's voice is tight. He can feel the creature's claws digging into his palm, drawing blood. It's nothing compared to what he's faced before, but it's not the pain that makes his chest ache. It's what he sees in its eyes. Fear. Not the fear of a monster. Not the fear of an enemy. The fear of something that knows it's breaking apart and can't stop. I know, he says again, softer this time. I'm not going to hurt you. He opens his hand, and the creature falls to the ground. It scrambles to its feet, hissing, spitting, but it doesn't attack again. It just stands there, shaking, its eyes darting between Naruto and the Smurfs and the forest it came from. What did he do to you? Naruto asks, and his voice is gentle. Gargamel. What did he do? The creature's mouth works, trying to form words. He made me. He made you something you didn't want to be. The creature looks at him, and for a moment, just a moment, there's something human in its eyes. Something that recognizes. Something that understands. Help, it says again, and this time the word is clearer. Please, help me. Naruto looks at Papa Smurf. At the Smurfs gathered behind him. At Smurfette still pressed against his chest, her face wet with tears. Is there anything we can do? He asks. Papa Smurf's face is gray. I don't know. I've never seen anything like this. Gargamel's magic has always been crude, traps, cages, potions. This is different. This is something new. He's experimenting, Naruto says, and the words taste like ash in his mouth. He's using Smurfs to test his magic. To see what works. To see what works against you, Papa Smurf says. This creature, this corrupted Smurf, it was made from your power. From the chakra you used when you fought Gargamel's creature. He's learning, Naruto. He's finding ways to use your own power against you. Naruto looks at the creature again, It stopped shaking now, stopped trying to attack. It's just standing there, staring at nothing, its hands hanging at its sides. It looks like a puppet with its strings cut. What happens to him? He asks. If we can't help him? Papa Smurf doesn't answer. He doesn't need to. The creature starts to change. It's subtle at first, a shift in the color of its skin, a flicker in its eyes. But then it's not subtle anymore. Its body twists, stretches, contorts into shapes that shouldn't be possible. It's growing, changing, becoming something that Naruto recognizes. The creature from the forest. The one he fought. The one he thought he destroyed. No, he breathes. No, I killed you. I destroyed you. You can't destroy something that's made from you. Gargamel's voice echoes from somewhere in the forest. Every time you fight, you feed it. Every time you use your power, you make it stronger. The creature is fully formed now, as large as Naruto, as twisted as his nightmares, as wrong as everything Gargamel has ever created. But there's something different about it this time. Something that makes Naruto's heart stop. It's not just a creature anymore. It's wearing the face of the Smurf it used to be. Help, it says, and the word comes from 100 mouths, 1,000 voices, an infinity of wrongness. Help me! Please! Help me! Smurfette screams. The Smurfs scatter, running for cover, running for safety, running from something they can't fight and can't understand. But Naruto doesn't move. He stands in the center of the village, holding Smurfette against his chest, and watches the creature that was once a Smurf reach for him with hands that are too large and too small at the same time. Naruto! Smurfette gasps. Naruto, we have to run. We have to. No. His voice is quiet. No more running. He sets her down behind him, gently, carefully, like she's something that might break. She grabs at his shirt, tries to hold him back, but he's already moving. Naruto! Stay here, he says, and there's something in his voice that makes her stop. Stay safe. I'll come back. He walks toward the creature. It's still reaching for him, still speaking in 100 voices, still wearing the face of something that used to be innocent. I'm sorry, he says, and he means it. I'm sorry I couldn't save you. I'm sorry Gargamel did this to you. I'm sorry that the only way to stop you is to. He can't finish the sentence. The creature lunges, and Naruto meets it. He doesn't use his full strength. Doesn't use the power that could shatter mountains. He uses the control he's been learning, the gentleness, the precision, the ability to be exactly as strong as he needs to be and no stronger. He fights like he's trying not to break something precious. The creature doesn't understand. It fights with all the rage and pain and confusion that Gargamel poured into it, all the wrongness of being twisted into something it was never meant to be. It doesn't know why Naruto is holding back. It doesn't know why he's not using the power it was made to counter. It just fights. And Naruto fights back. He blocks its blows, dodges its attacks, keeps it away from the village. He takes hits that would fell a normal man, absorbs damage that would kill anyone else, and keeps moving. Keeps fighting. Keeps trying to find a way to end this without destroying the creature completely. You can't save it. Gargamel's voice taunts from somewhere in the forest. It's already dead. Everything it was is gone. You're just fighting a corpse wearing a familiar face. Naruto doesn't answer. He can't. He's too busy fighting, too busy protecting, too busy trying to be strong enough and gentle enough at the same time. But in his heart, he knows Gargamel is right. The creature is gone. What's left is just a shell, a puppet, a weapon made from something that used to be alive. And the only way to stop it is to destroy it. I'm sorry, he whispers again. I'm so sorry. He gathers his chakra, not the wild power he used before, but something controlled, something precise, something that's taken him days of training to shape. He focuses it into his hands, into his feet, into every part of him that's learned to be gentle. And he strikes. One blow. Perfectly placed. Perfectly controlled. Enough to shatter the corruption without destroying what's left underneath. The creature screams. The sound is 100 voices, 1,000, an infinity of pain and fear and wrongness. And then it's gone. The creature collapses, shrinking, changing, becoming something small and blue and still. Naruto stands over it, breathing hard, his hands shaking. He looks down at the Smurf, the real Smurf, the one that was stolen and twisted and used, and sees that its eyes are closed. Its chest isn't moving. I'm sorry, he says one more time. And then, softer. I'm so sorry. Smurfette is there. He doesn't know when she got there, doesn't know how she crossed the distance without him noticing, but she's there, her hand on his leg, her face wet with tears. You saved him, she says. Naruto shakes his head. I killed him! No. Her voice is fierce. You saved him. Gargamel killed him. You just let him go. You let him be at peace. He looks at her. At the tiny figure standing at his feet, at the tears running down her face, at the strength in her eyes that shouldn't be there but is. Is that enough? He asks. Is letting them go enough? She doesn't answer. She doesn't have to. The Smurfs come out of hiding as the sun sets. They gather around the fallen Smurf, the one who was taken, the one who was changed, the one who is finally at rest. Papa Smurf says something over him, words that Naruto doesn't understand but feels in his chest. The Smurfs sing a song that sounds like wine through the trees, like water over stones, like something old and sad and beautiful. When it's over, they bury him at the edge of the forest, where the sun can find him in the morning. And Naruto stands watch through the night, guarding a grave he dug with hands that learned to be gentle. What was his name? He asks when Smurfette comes to stand beside him. Timid, she says. His name was Timid. He was afraid of everything. Thunder. Shadows. His own reflection. Her voice cracks. He was so scared, all the time. And Gargamel took him, and he must have been so scared, and no one was there to help him, and… She breaks down. Naruto scoops her up, holds her against his chest, lets her cry. He doesn't say it's okay. He doesn't say it wasn't his fault. He just holds her, and lets her grieve, and waits for the sun to rise. I'm going to stop him, he says when her tears have stopped. Gargamel. I'm going to end this. Smurfette looks up at him. Her face is swollen, her eyes red, but there's something in them that wasn't there before. I know, she says. I know you will. She doesn't ask how. She doesn't ask when. She just believes. And Naruto, standing over a grave in a world that's too small for him, holding a Smurf who believes in him, finally understands what he has to do. The plan is simple. That's what Papa Smurf says, at least. Naruto has learned that when Papa Smurf says a plan is simple, it usually means it's anything but. We draw him out, Papa Smurf explains, tracing lines in the dirt with his staff. He's been hiding in his lair since the last attack, rebuilding his forces, perfecting his corruption. If we go in there, we play to his strengths. But if we draw him out, he has to come to us. Naruto finishes. He has to come to you. Papa Smurf looks up at him, and there's something in his eyes that Naruto hasn't seen before. Respect, maybe? Or hope. You're what he wants. You're the prize he's been chasing since you fell. If you make yourself vulnerable, if you give him a chance to capture you, he'll take it. He's arrogant. He's greedy. And he's desperate. Papa Smurf's voice is hard. He's been studying you for weeks. He thinks he understands your power. He thinks he can control it. But he's wrong. Naruto nods slowly. What about the Smurfs? I can't have them near the fight. If Gargamel uses them as bait, the Smurfs will be safe. Papa Smurf's voice is firm. We've been preparing for this for centuries. We have places to hide, tunnels to escape through. We know how to survive. I don't want you to survive. Naruto's voice is sharp. I want you to live. All of you. Without fear. Without running. Papa Smurf is quiet for a moment. Then he smiles, a small smile, tired but real. That's what we're fighting for, he says. That's what you're fighting for. The battle begins at dawn. Naruto stands in the center of the clearing where he first fell, the place where this all began. He's not hiding. He's not trying to be small. He's standing with his arms at his sides, his eyes closed, his chakra pulsing gently beneath his skin, a beacon, a lure, a promise. He doesn't have to wait long. Gargamel comes from the east, trailing smoke and shadows. He's not alone. Behind him, a dozen creatures move through the trees, corrupted Smurfs, each one twisted into something that used to be innocent. They don't walk so much as flow, their bodies shifting and changing with every step, never quite the same from one moment to the next. And in the center of them, leading them forward, is something that makes Naruto's breath catch. It's the creature. The one he thought he destroyed. But it's different now, larger, stronger, more wrong. Its face is a mask of 100 Smurfs, shifting and changing, never settling on one expression for more than a moment. And its eyes are Naruto's eyes. You see? Gargamel's voice is triumphant. You see what I've created? I took your power, your precious chakra, and I made it mine. Every time you fight, every time you use your strength, you feed it. You make it stronger. You make it mine. Naruto opens his eyes. He looks at the creature, at the thing made from his power, wearing his face, carrying his strength, and feels something settle in his chest. You don't understand, he says quietly. Gargamel laughs. Don't understand? I understand everything. I understand your power, your weakness, your pathetic need to protect these creatures. I understand that you're afraid of hurting them, afraid of breaking them, afraid of being the monster you really are. No. Naruto's voice is calm. You don't understand anything. He takes a step forward. The creature matches him, moving in perfect sync, a mirror that's been twisted into something dark. You think my power is something you can take, Naruto says. You think it's something you can control. But you're wrong. Because my power isn't mine. Gargamel's smile falters. What? My power, my chakra, it's not something I earned or something I was born with. It's something I was given. By people who believed in me. By friends who fought beside me. By everyone I've ever protected and everyone who's ever protected me. He takes another step. It's not a weapon. It's a promise. The creature hesitates. Just for a moment, its face flickers, Naruto's face, then a Smurf's face, then something that's either in both. You can't take that, Naruto says. You can't steal it. You can't corrupt it. Because it's not just power. It's connection. It's love. It's everything that makes us more than just bodies moving through the world. He reaches out his hand. Not to attack. Not to fight. Just reaching. And you, he says softly, looking at the creature, at the thing that used to be a Smurf, at the power that was stolen from him and twisted into something dark. You're part of that. You always were. The creature stops. Its face shifts, settling for a moment on something that might be confusion. Might be recognition. Might be the first spark of something that Gargamel's corruption couldn't touch. What are you doing? Gargamel's voice is sharp. Kill him! Kill him now! The creature doesn't move. You were a Smurf once, Naruto says. You had a name. You had a family. You had people who loved you. He takes another step, and this time, the creature doesn't match him. Gargamel took that from you. He took everything. But he didn't take the part of you that remembers. The part of you that's still there, underneath all of this. He's close enough to touch now. Close enough to see the creature's face shifting, changing, trying to find something to hold onto. I know what it's like to be made into something you didn't choose, Naruto says, and his voice is gentle. I know what it's like to have power you didn't ask for, power that people want to take from you. I know what it's like to be alone. He reaches out, and the creature flinches. But it doesn't attack. You're not alone, Naruto says. You never were. He touches the creature's face. His chakra flows through him, not as a weapon, not as a shield, but as something else. Something older. Something that Gargamel's magic can't understand. It's the feeling of Irika standing in front of a 9-year-old boy and refusing to let anyone call him a monster. It's Sakura's fist in his hair and Sasuke's back against his in a fight. It's Jiraiya's hand on his shoulder and Kakashi's eyes crinkling in a smile. It's every person who ever looked at him and saw something worth saving. The creature screams. But it's not a scream of rage. It's not a scream of pain. It's something else, something that sounds like 100 voices, 1,000, an infinity of Smurfs who were taken and twisted and used, finally being heard. The corruption burns away. Not with fire, not with force, but with something gentler. Something that's been waiting for this moment since the first Smurf was taken. When it's over, the creature is gone. In its place is a Smurf, just a Smurf, small and blue and trembling. He looks up at Naruto with eyes that are clear for the first time in weeks. Thank you, he whispers. And then he collapses, and Naruto catches him, holds him against his chest, feels the tiny heartbeat beneath his hand. No! Gargamel's scream is raw, desperate. No! That's impossible! You can't! He's throwing magic now, wild and uncontrolled, purple-black energy crackling from his hands. The other corrupted Smurfs move forward, their faces shifting, their bodies changing, ready to attack. But Naruto is ready too. Shadow Clone Jutsu. 100 Narutos filled the clearing. They don't attack, they don't need to. They simply stand, a wall of orange and blue between Gargamel and the Smurfs, and wait. You've been fighting alone, Naruto says, and his voice is calm. That's why you keep losing. Because you think power is something you take. Something you hoard. Something that makes you better than everyone else. He sets the Smurf down gently, watches as Papa Smurf rushes forward to take him, to care for him, to bring him home. But you're wrong, Naruto says. Power isn't about being alone. It's about being connected. It's about the people who stand beside you. The people you protect. The people who protect you. He looks at Gargamel, and for the first time, he sees the wizard for what he really is. Not a monster. Not a god. Just a man, a small, scared man who's been alone for so long that he forgot how to be anything else. You could have had this, Naruto says. You could have had people who cared about you. Who stood beside you. Who made you stronger than you ever could be alone. But you chose to take instead of give. To destroy instead of build. To be alone. Gargamel's face twists. I don't need anyone. I'm powerful. You're nothing. Naruto's voice isn't cruel. It's just true. You're nothing, and you've spent your whole life trying to be something by taking from people who are smaller than you. That's not power. That's weakness. He raises his hand, and the shadow clones raise theirs. Chakra gathers in 100 palms, 1,000, an infinity of light that pushes back the darkness and the smoke and the wrongness that Gargamel has been spreading for centuries. This is over, Naruto says. No more hunting. No more experiments. No more taking people who can't fight back. You're done. Gargamel tries to run. But there's nowhere to go. The shadow clones surround him, and the corrupted Smurfs are fading now, their corruption burning away in the light of Naruto's chakra, revealing the frightened creatures underneath. No, Gargamel whispers. No, no, no. He reaches for his magic, for the power that's sustained him for centuries, and finds nothing. His hands close on empty air, on a power that's finally run out, on a darkness that can't survive the light. Please, he says, and his voice is small. Please. I'll do anything. You'll leave. Naruto's voice is quiet. You'll leave this forest, and you'll never come back. You'll forget about the Smurfs. You'll forget about your experiments. You'll forget about the power you thought you could take. Gargamel nods frantically. Yes. Yes, I'll leave. I'll go. I'll never. And if you come back, Naruto says, and there's something in his voice that makes Gargamel freeze. I'll know. And I'll find you. And no matter where you run, no matter how far you go, I'll be there. Do you understand? Gargamel understands. He runs. He runs through the forest, through the trees, through the smoke and the shadows that used to be his. He runs until he reaches the edge of the forest, and then he keeps running. He doesn't stop. He'll never stop. When he's gone, the light fades. The shadow clones disappear. And Naruto stands in the center of the clearing, alone, exhausted, his hands still tingling with the power that saved them all. He looks down at his hands. At the hands that caught Smurfette, that held the corrupted Smurf, that reached out instead of striking down. At the hands that learned to be gentle. You did it, Smurfette says. She's standing at his feet, looking up at him with eyes that are wet and bright at the same time. Around her, the Smurfs are emerging from their hiding places, gathering in the clearing, looking at the giant who saved them. We did it, Naruto says. All of us. He kneels down, careful, gentle, and opens his hand. Smurfette steps onto his palm, and he lifts her up, holds her against his chest, lets her feel his heartbeat. You're leaving, she says. It's not a question. Naruto is quiet for a moment. Then he nods. I felt something, he says. When I was fighting Gargamel. When I was reaching for the power that connects me to everyone I love. I felt a door. A way back. It's open now. I don't know how long it will stay open. Smurfette nods slowly. Her hand is pressed against his chest, feeling the steady rhythm of his heart. We'll miss you, she says. I'll miss you too. His voice cracks. I'll miss all of you. Papa Smurf steps forward, his staff in his hand, his face solemn. You've given us something we haven't had in centuries, he says. Hope. Real hope. Not the hope of surviving, but the hope of living. Of building something that will last. He looks up at Naruto, and there are tears in his eyes. We won't forget. Any of it. Naruto tries to smile. It comes out wobbly. I'm going to come back, he says. Someday. When I figure out how to travel between worlds without crashing into your forest. I'm going to come back and see how you're doing. We'll be here, Smurfette says. We'll always be here. The light is gathering around him now. He can feel it pulling, the same force that brought him here, calling him home. He doesn't have much time. He sets Smurfette down gently, careful, like he's learned to be. He looks at the Smurfs one last time, at Papa Smurf, standing tall despite everything, at Brainy, pushing his glasses up his nose, at Hefty, trying not to cry, at all of them, the people who taught him how to be small. Thank you, he says. For everything. The light takes him. It's warm and gentle, nothing like the violence of his arrival. He feels himself lifting, drifting, leaving behind the world that's too small for him but needed him anyway. He looks down one last time, and sees Smurfette waving. He waves back, and then she's gone, and the forest is gone, and the world is gone. And then there's light. He wakes in a forest. Not the Smurfs' forest, this one is different. The trees are taller, the air is thicker, and when he sits up, he doesn't tower over anything. He's just Naruto. Normal-sized. Normal-shaped. Normal. For a moment, he just sits there, breathing. The ground beneath him is solid. The sky above him is blue. And somewhere in the distance, he can hear voices, familiar voices, voices he knows. Naruto! Sakura's fist hits him before he can react. It's not gentle. It's not careful. It's Sakura, and she's crying and hitting him at the same time, and it's the most beautiful thing he's ever felt. Where were you? She screams. Do you know how long you've been gone? Do you have any idea what we've been through? 3 weeks, Kakashi says, and his voice is calm, but there's something underneath it that Naruto has never heard before. You've been gone for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. It feels like a lifetime. It feels like no time at all. I'm sorry, Naruto says. I'm sorry I was gone. I'm sorry I worried you. Sakura hits him again. It hurts. He's never been so happy to be hurt. We thought you were dead, she sobs. We thought you were gone forever. I'm not dead, he says. I'm here. I'm right here. He looks around, searching for one face in particular. Sasuke is standing at the edge of the clearing, his arms crossed, his face unreadable. He hasn't moved since Naruto appeared. He hasn't said a word. But his eyes are red. Sasuke, Naruto says. Sasuke doesn't answer. He just stands there, looking at Naruto like he's seeing a ghost. I'm back, Naruto says. I'm not going anywhere. Sasuke's jaw works. For a moment, it looks like he's going to say something. Then he turns and walks away, disappearing into the trees. Give him time, Sakura says, wiping her eyes. He's been looking for you. Every day. For 3 weeks. He didn't sleep. He didn't eat. He just looked. Naruto watches the trees where Sasuke disappeared. There's so much he wants to say, so much he needs to explain. But it can wait. It can all wait. He's home. The weeks that follow are strange. Naruto goes back to his life, training, missions, the endless work of becoming Hokage. But something is different now. He's different. He finds himself being careful in ways he never was before. He walks more quietly. He closes doors more gently. He notices the small things, the flowers growing between the cracks in the pavement, the insects building their homes in the corners of windows, the tiny lives that exist in the spaces between his own. You've changed, Kakashi says one day, watching Naruto move through his katas with a control that wasn't there before. I had to, Naruto says. I was somewhere where being strong wasn't enough. I had to learn to be gentle. Kakashi's visible eye crinkles. Is that a lesson you think applies here? Naruto thinks about it. About the people he's fought, the enemies he's defeated, the battles he's won with power and fury, and the refusal to give up. He thinks about the Smurfs, who taught him that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is hold back. Maybe, he says. I think it's a lesson I needed to learn. Everywhere. Not just there. Kakashi nods slowly. Then I'm glad you went. Even if it scared us half to death. Naruto laughs. Yeah. Me too. He doesn't talk about the Smurfs much. It's not that he doesn't want to, it's that he doesn't know how to explain a world where he was a giant, where his footsteps shook the earth, where the people who saved him were smaller than his hand. It sounds like a dream. It sounds like something he made up. But he knows it was real. He can feel it, sometimes, in the way he moves through the world now. In the gentleness he never had before. In the way he notices the small things, the fragile things, the things that need protecting. He dreams about them sometimes. About mushroom houses and tiny voices and a stream that was barely ankle-deep. About Papa Smurf's wisdom and Hefty's strength and Brainy's endless questions. About Smurfette, sitting on his shoulder, watching the stars. In the dreams, he can still feel her hand in his. Small and warm and real. Tell me about them, Sasuke says one night. They're sitting on the bridge where they used to sit when they were children, watching the water flow beneath them. It's the first time they've been alone together since Naruto came back. Tell me about the place you went. Naruto is quiet for a moment. Then he starts to talk. He talks about a world where everything was small, where the trees were like grass and the streams were like threads. He talks about crashing into a forest and waking up surrounded by creatures who thought he was a monster. He talks about learning to be gentle, to be careful, to be something other than a weapon. He talks about Gargamel, and the corruption, and the creature that wore his face. He talks about the Smurf who was taken and twisted and saved, and the wizard who ran away and never looked back. And he talks about Smurfette. About the way she looked at him like he was something worth believing in. About the way she held his hand when he was afraid. About the way she taught him that being strong isn't about how much you can destroy, it's about how carefully you choose not to. When he's finished, Sasuke is quiet for a long time. "You miss them," he says finally. "Yeah." Naruto's voice is soft. "I miss them a lot." "Then go back." Naruto looks at him. "What?" "Go back." Sasuke's voice is matter-of-fact. "You found a way once. You can find it again. Figure out the seal. Learn to control the space-time technique. Go back and visit them." "I don't know if I can," Naruto says. "I don't know if." "You've done harder things." Sasuke meets his eyes, and for a moment, there's something almost like warmth in them. "You never give up. That's what you taught me. That's what you teach everyone. So don't give up on them." Naruto stares at him for a long moment. Then he smiles, a real smile, the kind he hasn't had since he came back. "You're right," he says. "You're right. I'm not going to give up." Sasuke nods, looking back at the water. "Good." They sit in silence for a while, watching the river flow beneath them. It's not the same as it was before, nothing is the same as it was before. But it's good. It's right. It's home. And somewhere, in another world, a Smurf named Smurfette is watching the same stars, thinking about a giant who learned to be gentle. 6 months later. The seal is finished. It takes Naruto 6 months to figure it out, 6 months of studying old scrolls, consulting with the smartest people in the village, failing 100 times for every success. But he figures it out. He always does. Sasuke is there when he activates it. So is Sakura. So is Kakashi, and Irika, and everyone who's ever believed in him. They stand at the edge of the training ground, watching as the light gathers around Naruto, watching as he starts to fade. "Come back," Sakura says. It's not a question. "Always," Naruto says. And then he's gone. He lands in a forest. Not the one he left, this one is different. The trees are smaller, the air is sweeter, and when he sits up, he knows immediately that he's not in his world anymore. He's bigger here. Not as big as he was before, he's learned to control that, learned to modulate his size, learned to be exactly as large as he needs to be and no larger. But he's bigger. And the forest around him is smaller. He stands up carefully, testing his balance, his control. The ground doesn't shake. The trees don't break. He's learned. And then he sees it. The village. It's bigger than it was before. The mushroom houses are larger, the paths are wider, the fountain is repaired and flowing. But it's the same. It's home. He walks toward it slowly, carefully, making sure every step is measured, every movement controlled. The Smurfs see him coming, he can see them gathering at the edge of the village, their faces turned up toward him, waiting. And then he sees her. Smurfette is standing at the front of the crowd, her yellow hair bright in the morning sun, her eyes fixed on his face. She's not running. She's not hiding. She's just waiting. He kneels down, careful, gentle, and opens his hand. She steps onto his palm. "You came back," she says. "I said I would." His voice is soft. "I always keep my promises." She smiles, and it's like the sun coming out. "We miss you," she says. "I miss you too." He lifts her up, holds her against his chest, lets her feel his heartbeat. Around them, the Smurfs are cheering, running forward, climbing onto his shoulders and his arms and his legs. He laughs, letting them climb, letting them explore, letting them see that he's still the same Naruto who fell into their forest so long ago. Papa Smurf is the last one to approach. He walks slowly, deliberately, his staff tapping against the ground. When he reaches Naruto, he looks up at him with eyes that have seen 6 centuries of joy and sorrow and everything in between. "You learned," he says. Naruto nods. "I learned." Papa Smurf smiles. "Good. Now we have work to do." Naruto blinks. "What kind of work?" "The village needs walls. better defenses. Gargamel is gone, but there will be others. And we have a giant now. His eyes twinkle. It would be a shame not to use him. Naruto laughs. It's a loud sound, bigger than it should be, but for once, he doesn't try to control it. Okay, he says. Let's build. They work through the day, Naruto lifting stones that 100 Smurfs couldn't move, setting them in place with a gentleness that surprises even himself. The Smurfs work around him, directing him, correcting him, teaching him. It's the same thing they've been doing for centuries, building, creating, making something that will last. But now they have help. When the sun sets, the walls are finished. They're not perfect, nothing Naruto does is perfect, but they're strong. They're safe. They're a promise that the Smurfs will never have to run again. Naruto sits at the edge of the village, watching the stars come out. Smurfette is on his shoulder, as she always is, her hand resting against his neck. Will you come back? She asks. Whenever I can, he says. It's hard, traveling between worlds. It takes a lot of chakra. But I'll figure it out. I'll make it easier. And when you're not here? He thinks about that. About the world he left behind, the people waiting for him, the life he has to live. About the bridge between two worlds, two families, two homes. I'll be thinking about you, he says. Every day. I'll be thinking about what you taught me. About being gentle. About protecting people who can't protect themselves. About being strong enough to hold back. She leans against his neck, and he can feel her warmth, her presence, her trust. That's all we can do, she says. Try to be better. Try to be kinder. Try to be the people we want to be. He reaches up, touches her hand with his finger. She wraps her fingers around his, like she did that first night, and they sit together in the silence, watching the stars. I'm going to be Hokage, he says. In my world. The leader. The person who protects everyone. You'll be good at it, she says. How do you know? Because you learn how to be gentle. She squeezes his finger. And that's the hardest thing for someone powerful to learn. He smiles. It's a soft smile, a real smile, the kind he's learned to have in this world that's too small for him but needs him anyway. Thank you, he says, for teaching me. She doesn't answer. She doesn't need to. They sit there through the night, a giant and a Smurf, watching the stars cross the sky. And in the morning, Naruto will go home. He'll return to his world, to his friends, to his life. But he'll come back. Again and again, as long as he can, he'll come back. Because he learned something, in this world that's too small for him. He learned that strength isn't about how much you can destroy. It's about how carefully you choose not to. It's about protecting the fragile things, the small things, the things that need someone to stand between them and the darkness. It's about being a giant, in a world that needs giants, and learning to be gentle. He closes his eyes, and the stars wheel overhead, and somewhere in the distance, a night bird begins to sing. Thank you, he whispers again. And in the morning, he'll go home. But for now, he's here. And that's enough.